Everything that we are remembering in terms of spiritual law, both universal, mystical, and cosmic, we are beginning to understand is deeply true. And we're learning how to shine, how to remember that spark of consciousness within the mind and the body and the soul.
You've said that humanity has been operating over a power over, power under construct for the last 175,000 years. Is that construct coming to a close, and are we beginning a new construct?
The good news is that much of you, then 70% of you, will be ready by 2030 in your time-space distortion for a fifth density awareness. That is, not you going anywhere. You're not going to the fifth dimension. A dimension is a measurement of time-space. You are simply centering in to a new earth which is already present and parallel to your third density expression and environment. And those of you who are not ready will stay within this, and you will start over in a brand new cycle of duality.
Pamela Aaralyn, welcome back on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
Globally, I'm excited for the beginning stages of more cosmic awareness. And initially that may be represented to us by a lot of galactic visitations, but what it means at a deeper level is so beautiful. And I'm excited for people to begin to remember freedom outside of anything that they can even remember, for a whole new definition of sovereignty and freedom. And it feels beautifully impending. And I'm excited about these changes on Earth. I'm excited about our galactic ancestors and visitors. I'm excited about the threshold of a new cosmic energy that we are remembering together as a human race, and as starseeds as well, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, in my life, I feel the same. It's almost like a very personal mirror of change and growth and opportunities for acceptance and peace. Exploration of more divine sound is definitely on the horizon from me. But I believe exploration of all sorts of unlimited divine remembrance of talents, both human and cosmic, it's coming out of all of us. Like, we're remembering things about ourselves within this time space, the fabric of time space, and outside of it, like from a deeper, more cosmic level. So all of us are exploring all sorts of hidden talents and memories right now. And I'm excited, not just for myself, but for anyone going through that level of wonder and curiosity about the true nature of their soul.
And also, when it comes to universal law, you and I were talking a little bit before this, and you were telling me how there is almost this misunderstanding of how we believe that because we're in a certain state or frequency or vibrational state, we think that everything in the external world is going to necessarily mirror that back to us. But there's almost, you're mentioning a deeper layer to that understanding of the universal law. What is that you have noticed in your life?
As a teacher of both universal, mystical, and cosmic law, what I'm beginning to realize is a broad observation of misunderstanding of such. We misunderstand mystical law because we're afraid of the word grace. We're afraid of the word holy. We're afraid of the word prayer. And after thousands of years of religious persecution, we need to choose to remember beyond that. And to create such a holy vibration within our thoughts, emotional vibrations, words, etc., because that turns into action. And when that turns into action, that's the deepest dharma, the deepest connection to source, the deepest mastery, the deepest divine remembrance when it comes to universal law that we could possibly fathom. So most people consider universal law to be within law of attraction teachings alone. And in a modern world and in most modern spiritual communities, it's taught that what you think, if you believe it, becomes your action and your circumstance around you. In mystical law and cosmic law, it is taught that when you understand the vibration of your thoughts, that becomes the vibration of your emotions become the vibration of your beliefs are eventually spoken or written. What is spoken or written is what occurs in your life. So in that space, it's not occurring in a way that's positive or negative for you. It's not happening to you in a positive or negative way. It's simply a big, beautiful resonance that you are beginning to remember. You're not even really creating it. You're remembering it. All of that beauty has already happened. Everything is in the now, but we're simply remembering it within the concept of time. And when we remember these truths within the concept of time, it's easy to misunderstand and to forget that we need a deeper awareness of what we actually feel and what we actually believe. Because otherwise, the teaching of law of attraction is interpreted in one minuscule component of its truth, which is what you think becomes what happens to you, for you, around you, etc., etc. But what we're missing is universal law of reflection, universal law of specificity, where we become so aware of what we actually believe and feel that we say, hey, wait a minute. One of these things are not like the other between my thoughts and my beliefs. There's something here that's a disconnect, a mismatch. And when we stand into that vibrational awareness, the soul absolutely sparks through the mind and heart of cosmic consciousness itself. And this entire construct we're calling mind, body, soul lights up and becomes a beacon of cosmic consciousness. And then we get these aha moments, the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities, the awareness of what is between what we think and what we do. Because there's so much missing otherwise. Otherwise, we're just following a modality, a protocol, something someone else has told us to do so we can get what we think we want. And the paradox is, here's another universal law of paradox. The paradox is that sometimes we are masterful enough to say, you know what? I'm going to skip all these steps and go straight to what I want. We get what we want and we go, hey, wait a minute. Why are we still unhappy? We got everything that we thought. And that's because we're not connecting the dots between law of attraction and law of manifestation. And there are a lot of dots missing in the awakening process. But on a brighter note, we are beginning to remember. I'm watching it unfold all around me. I'm seeing the world around me go, hey, I see what's out there and I know it's bigger. I see what the world's saying to me and I know it's not true. I'm choosing to disconnect from lack of truth and remember my entire cosmic essence. And then everything begins to light up. Passions come forth. Talents are remembered. Lifetimes unfold within the Akash. Both the human and the galactic Akash, all sorts of beautiful things happen as we are remembering.
Before today's transmission, I wanted to take a minute to let you in on something that could change your life. If you've been doing the inner work and still feel like you're walking this path alone, you're not the only one. Most spiritual spaces give you endless content to consume, but not a tribe to grow with. That's why we created the Deep Dive, a living spiritual ecosystem designed to help you grow in community, rhythm, and real embodiment. Right now, our members are embarking on a journey exploring a core spiritual and practical teaching through daily activations, live community gatherings guided by me and our facilitators, and also participating in sacred challenges that are designed to help you live your practice and bring it to life. You'll be surrounded by seekers and leaders who've decided that they're done doing this work in isolation. If you're ready to find your people, visit the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now, and I'll see you inside. What's the biggest paradox that you feel that we're seeing right now in the world?
Right now, it seems that everything that we are remembering in terms of spiritual law, both universal, mystical, and cosmic, we are beginning to understand is deeply true. And we're learning how to shine, how to remember that spark of consciousness within the mind and the body and the soul. We are beginning to remember something that's beyond what we can even verbalize right now. And it's fascinating, it's magical and beautiful. And then at the same time, it changes manifestation, this memory. This cosmic memory changes manifestation so much that people are struggling practically within the conditioned paradigm of everyday human life. So Ram Dass put this very beautifully when he was here with us. Someone asked him how to awaken Kundalini. And he said, we need to leave Kundalini alone. Some of you need to learn to get a job and remember your zip code. Now, when Ram Dass says this, it's so loving and funny. When I say it, people are like, that's condescending. But he was so funny. And he could say that back then and we wouldn't get so offended, right? We're letting awakening become kind of this untouchable, magical thing that's almost so mystical that we can't practically apply it in the mind, body, soul experience as an awakening human. And then we wonder why all the constructs around us are falling apart. The constructs around us, they're not working. But we don't have new constructs to replace them financially, politically, in our spiritual systems as well. It isn't working. A lot isn't working. And we can choose to accept that we are the change that is required in those constructs and work together despite our political, spiritual, financial status differences, whatever you may choose to believe in that regard. Or the other choice is go backwards. You remember back in COVID when people said, I just want us to return to normal. We're about to have a massive choice. When galactic contact is upon us so strongly, and you just, I'm sure a lot of people just feel this beautiful, it doesn't feel heavy, it feels beautiful, like something wonderful is about to happen, but something a little bit scary as well. That feeling is happening, that download of awareness is happening for so many of us. But if we haven't made a conscious choice in the mind, body, soul construct to be prepared for those old constructs to fall apart, if the fears are too strong, those systems are going to stay. And if those systems stay and everybody wakes up, we're going to have a problem, a big problem. And this is just a perception from the council given through all of the visions that we find, and I test them. I will wait. My practice with that is making sure that I receive those prophetic visions from the council 3 times, very specifically, all the same way. And then I sit with them and say, okay, you're giving me these visions more. It must be coming. And then I start to get the visions once a month. And then I start to get them like once every few weeks. And I start to get them once every 2 weeks. Now I'm having them once a week. The same visions on the same day at the same time of night. 3:33 a.m. is my vision download time. Also the time of my birth. So like everything is very, when we're following the signs, symbols, and synchronicities, we need to trust our awareness. And I don't know about you guys. I know you, Emilio, you trust your awareness all the time. There's never a disconnect. I trust my awareness. There's no doubt in it. So for listeners, I'm encouraging you to trust your discernment, trust your awareness, trust your visions, because what's coming isn't scary. What's coming is more opportunity for those old systems to finally begin to go away, to shift. But if we're still holding on and wanting more of the same, like in COVID saying, I just want things back to normal. It's what we are cosmically. Notice I didn't say who. This is beyond human persona or galactic persona. What we are cosmically is so beautiful, is so powerful, that what's happening right now needs to shift. Those paradigms have to change because they were the deepest level of lack. You're going to have abundance that you don't even understand yet. And what's going to happen when all these changes occur, but people are still in the mindset of, how do I pay my mortgage? You're not going to have mortgages anymore, right? The changes are so strong that you won't need that. It'll be wonderful. And I'm quite frankly, maybe finally ready. I'm feeling really ready.
Are those visions that are coming through more strongly for you recently connected to the dissolving and maybe the rebirth of new structures for humanity that you've begun to sort of feel in your body coming as cells of awakening and remembrance? Are those connected in any way?
Say it in a different way. Is what connected to what?
Connected to the breakdown of these old structures and the emergence of the new structures.
It feels both old and new simultaneously. It feels timeless. It feels like something our ancient Mayan ancestors knew. It feels that nothing has been the same since according to the Council of Nine, that's my primary group of beings that I channel, for whom I am an ambassador. They often say that after 2012, a large component of the world shifted out of a 3D paradigm, but some chose to just stay in it. So it's not that time ended. It's that a whole new era began, but more than half the population wasn't ready. And that's why we still have this feeling of discord, this feeling of lack of congruency, like one of these things is not like the other, the feeling of the dualistic political systems and so many things, but the Mayans knew otherwise, our indigenous ancestors knew otherwise, my Catawba ancestors knew otherwise, your ancestors knew otherwise, the Aboriginal beings knew otherwise. So Lemuria and Atlantis was something very united and different. But what we remember in galactic history, when it's told, we begin to remember the paradigms of time which occurred in conditioned belief, beginning with the fall of Atlantis. We remember that instead of actually what we were and still are before then. We seem to remember only dualism-based paradigm. But what's happening now is that we're remembering something beyond that. The Mayans knew it. The Aboriginals knew it. All indigenous beings knew it. The animals knew it. It was like a language of the soul, this unity consciousness. There was no war. There was no fall of Atlantis for beings who were originally here on this planet. And each and every one of us has access to that spark of consciousness which lies within the mind of Creator and the heart as well. And we're beginning to remember it. We just don't quite know what it is. So it's timeless. but it's something ancient that our ancient ancestors did. But it's going to feel new because we just don't remember it. We don't remember our ancestors and what they did, and we don't remember that what they did was actually timeless. We don't remember the mystery that they had access to. But we're beginning to. And we're beginning to see how magical and beautiful that is.
When you were around 5 to 7 years old, you started having these experiences where a lot of these beings started coming to you. With that came the Council of Nine that you just described. And I don't believe we've ever had an opportunity together to really go into meeting. You call them, they're not like individual beings, but streams of consciousness that you're able to tap into. I would love if we could meet the team in that sense of those individual, or not, those streams of consciousness that you're able to tune into, and relay these messages through those different perspectives, because I know it's very diversified within the council.
It is. I mean, the paradox is, and here's another universal law paradox. There are 9 beings who also are representing factors for those 9 streams of consciousness available to us in our cosmic nature, not just our human nature. So 7 of those 9 represent 7 parallel realms of Earth, and all the various beliefs and vibrations associated with each of those 7 realms of parallel Earth. One of my favorite spirit guides, Dolores Cannon, talks about this as well, and how New Earth has actually always been present. And we think we're going somewhere, but it's parallel and we're already doing it. And there's an aspect of the soul that is already there at experiencing this beautiful 5 density experience within the measurement of that dimension in the time-space distortion, right? But there are 2 realms, which I don't talk about a lot, and there are 2 beings that represent those consciousness as well. And those realms aren't necessary to access because one is timeless and one is a cosmic realm. It's hard for me to even speak about, but the being who talks about that doesn't even give a name. It's a vibration. It's a sound that I can duplicate, but it has never given me any personification, no feeling of gender for the 9th. No feeling of anything dual, and nothing that I've ever been able to understand. So the only thing I've been able to do to express that portion of the council is verbalize, sing, try to duplicate it.
In those 7 parallel realms of Earth, are the beings associated to each one of those beings that we may have known through mythology or history, or goddesses? What are those beings that in a way oversee these consciousnesses of each parallel Earth?
They represent a vibration of those 7 parallel realms of Earth. So in that sense, they bring this construct. So say you have a galactic construct, one of those beings will come through that represents that galactic construct and energy that realm of Earth is going through in that moment, right? So whoever is the ambassador or the voice of the council at this time has to bring forth the beings that would represent whatever we're trying to access in those realms. And in this one too, there's a 3D realm as well. There's a 5D realm, but it's not so much that there would be just one being. It's that there would be a being for that time and for the collective of humanity and otherwise. It's because it's not just humans they represent, all starseeds, all types of galactic beings. So there would be a being that represents that at that time. And if that realm changes, or what some of you are calling ascension, that being will also change, because this isn't about personification. Otherwise, we'll do what humans have always done. We'll put that being on a pedestal and try to worship it, right? Which is why we'll have a being for a little while. And I can tell you some of those beings for those realms. We have Orlik, who's a being of the Essassani race. He's amazing. He's been very fluent in a lot of the channelings, but people don't understand his demeanor because he's non-sentient. So he doesn't learn through dualistic emotions. Like he's just about wisdom, and he can tell you things and it sounds clear and neutral, but he's this powerful masculine energy. So when he speaks, people think it's maybe condescending if they misunderstand him or something, but he just speaks truth for what people need to hear at the time. And if they need to be catalyzed, he will by all means do it. So there's that one. There's Katara. We call her the baby of the council because she has an energy that I think when I was on Wisdom from North, she came through and she had this baby voice. And people were picking on her a little bit. They're like, why do you sound like a 3-year-old? You know? And I'm like, well, because Katara is small. Like she's a tiny little being. She's a Lyran feline. She's got, I guess what we would call like dreadlocks. There's like braids of hair everywhere. She has a full head of braids. She has a tail that's similar to the beings in the movie Avatar. She's blue. She's very fantastical. She has huge eyes, but she's tiny. And
you were fascinated with her hair as a child.
Yeah.
When you were little, right?
Yeah. When I was upset, when she first came to me at age 5, I was really a very sensitive child, and I'd be very upset by things that were going on in the world, or if my parents were upset with each other or having an argument, I'd get upset, and she would say, well, but you can braid my hair. And I had some that would sing to me as well. And if I was gonna run across the street and didn't see a truck, then there was Orlik. He'd be like, get back here, you know, and because he has that big booming commanding voice, and there's just different types of beings that would come through based upon what I needed. So I got used to all of them at that young age, but then only a few of them would come through at a time. And that's the case now. Like I don't channel all 9 of them at the time. For the Pleiadians, I channel Kaia. For the Lyrans, I channel Katara. For the Essassani, I channel Orlik. For the realm that's beyond the cosmos, I've never actually spoken that being's name aloud because I can only sing it. I can't even say it. When I channel that being, I just call it oneness because I don't know what to call it. But I do have some channelings of that on my YouTube of that being, and I just called it oneness. Right.
And you said that, you know, some of them come through more strongly during specific times. Right now, which one do you feel is the most prevalent with the messages they're delivering for humanity specifically?
I'd say Katara. Is it between Katara and Orlik? Because sometimes people need joy and laughter and humor, but they also need a really cosmic intelligence, and that is Katara. She represents like that original essence of Lemuria and the Lyrans that came down and became Lemurians on that first version of Earth before separation was even a thought. So she's just pure innocence and fun. So she's coming through a lot more than before. Kaia comes through when people just need something loving and absolute pure love, and they just don't need to be told what to do or told catalyzed, or, you know, they don't need a galactic swift kick in the butt like Orlik's going to give them. But Orlik comes whenever people just kind of really need to hear some hardcore truth. And he's not really perceived as loving, but he is perceived as a genius. And he is very mathematical. He can give percentages for where we are. And he can just kind of like tell us a lot about what's going on from a very intellectual standpoint. But he can also say, here's where you need to get it together. So it depends upon what people are needing at the time. But I'm finding like between the 3 of them, those are the main ones that are coming through.
Are you open to bringing some of them through today?
If you have questions, sure.
I always have questions. You know me.
Yeah, I remember going into a trance once on a show, and and it was one of my friend's shows, and she felt so bad because she was like, "What do you have to say that's best for us right now?" And Orlik said, "You just need to wake up and do better."
Do better.
Like, so I'm going to warn you, if you choose him, that's who you're going to get.
Well, I love the tough love, hard truths. So I'm feeling into maybe bringing through Orlik and
you
maybe
can
we can
switch.
soften it. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
soften it
you
with
can
some
say, okay, can I have
some
Katara
Kaia.
and some humor, or I can have some compassion and love, that's Kaia, and you can switch if you feel like it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm here to hold the space for that, and
Okay.
Yeah, we'll flow right into it.
As predicted, when I channel, nose runs like crazy. Oh. Well, I see that we have a new person on my show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Welcome to my show.
Welcome, welcome. What do you see?
You didn't challenge it. The last host didn't challenge it either.
It could be both of our shows. I'm comfortable with sharing.
Oh, it's all well and good. I kid.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for making the space to be here and come through, Pamela. I wanted to ask, what do you feel are the greatest barriers right now to humanity's current evolution cycle that we're on right now?
Sleepiness. Spiritually. Laziness. Decisively. Forgetfulness. Planned. And not always by yourselves. In that order. And finally, this leads to many patterns of belief systems that encourage you to remain feeling stuck. You often say to us, I am confused, I am lost, I am stuck. You are neither of the former. You are infinitely wise. You are not confused. You simply wish to hear and remember only what makes you comfortable. You are not stuck. You are simply deeply committed to your pain. Are you done? You need to be. The times of change are upon you. And if you feel a deep resistance to what's new, how can you embrace it?
What could you tell us about the Essassani race and your relationship to humanity?
We have already transcended the time-space distortion, if you will, when we originally brought the consciousness of the people to your planet. We were called the Ra group. Perhaps you will remember this beautiful energy, which you can perceive, perhaps in your belief systems as a Christed consciousness. But we are beyond such belief. We were within the unity consciousness. And you are here for this remembrance. You are more ready for it than when we originally visited your lands in Assyria and Egypt. You were not ready for the vibration of the Ra group energy field at that time, but you are so infinitely ready now, which is why we come. But alas, I cannot help you remember more about the Essassani because you have belief systems of non-sentience which cause you to be afraid of what you do not understand. And we hold no wish to frighten you, because we are benevolent beings. We are not loving or unloving. We are ethical and helpful and centered into the unity consciousness of your original vibration of sovereignty. With that in mind, you and your human mind hold no point of reference towards what we would look like in form. And if you were to begin to remember, you could perhaps equate us to something which would frighten you, such as the insectoid race, and we are not even close to some of those vibrations. We are operating within the realm of unity and ethics, and your experiences with most insectoid-like races are that of fear and malevolence, which means you collectively hold a memory of things like spiders as being something you need to squish or something that will eat you, because you have had many impermanent but terribly painful experiences with such races. And we are not that. It's just that our form represents something that is somewhat similar. And if you were to see us, you may become afraid, which is why when we choose to finally show up in more of a physical realm of your time-space distortion, in what you would call disclosure or visitation, we will not come in the standard form. We will send pods, and those pods will be placed upon your lands in various central points of larger cities. And those pods will be for vibrational contact so that you can feel the peace that we represent, and you can feel our ethical realm of energy, and you can feel that we come in peace and protection of your entire human race and species. And when you finally feel that, then perhaps we can begin to show you a little bit more about our form.
When you visited for the first time in, you said, Assyria and Egypt, were the pyramids already around during that time?
No. But we helped create them, and we can tell you anything about them.
They recently discovered some pillars beneath the pyramids leading to underground, maybe structures. What could you tell us about the true purpose of why we discovered that at this time, and what is developing for us with that discovery?
I believe, according to your science, that these theories were debunked because they were not ready, and they, of course, began to attempt to default on the lack of science, because your metering and measuring devices scientifically can only evidence such centralized pillars of vibration with sonar. And they did not actually find physical form. But again, your science can't measure up to it, and what's there is interdimensional. What's there is interstellar. What's there are coils of vibration which were formed at some point in time before the Earth split into various degrees of awareness and vibration in 2012. Prior to that time, in your time-space distortion, that was formed underneath the ground, that extended many, many feet, probably 50, 80, 90, one of them 100 feet into Earth. But now your science will attempt to debunk this and say, well, we can't find form, and there's no way any form would extend that further without going into the molten core and burning up into ashes, or whatever they would say or give explanation towards. However, it was at that time in form, and it was for connections towards your galactic ancestors. It was to develop interstellar portals so that we could come and go and assist you, so that you would have all 7 points of awareness accessibilities through portals. So these forms were actual, not pillars as you say, but portals, not just pillars. They were portals that could bend the fabric of time-space. And in this sense, you could do so because your belief system supported it, and dualism wasn't even thought of.
And is the reason why these portals were going inside of the earth because in order to travel transdimensionally, do we need to go within the earth to do that?
You in form did not go within the earth. It was a vibration. And when all of the coils connected to each other, there were central points of vibrational awareness which created portals. So then you could time travel. You could do this, slowing down or speeding up time, so that you could travel. You could cross over the bridge of continents that were further apart at that time. In Pangea, you could meet other ancestors and share valuable tools. You could share valuable memories that we were bringing to you. You could share various more evolved healing technologies, most of which were vibrational and sound technologies. And you could do so, and you could travel from land to land. And that's the original use of the pyramids all over the world, not strictly in Egypt, also in Antarctica, also in Bosnia, also in various places around the world.
Pamela was mentioning that there's a massive choice coming up for us with regards to disclosure around other beings that come from galactic systems. What do you feel is that choice that we're really making at this time?
You are being prepared for this choice at this time as different financial and economic systems begin to collapse, so that you can learn the true nature of abundance, the true nature of interdependence, not codependence upon governments or each other. You are learning the nature of barter and trade, of which your ancestors were deeply aware. You are doing all of this in preparation for a new form of awareness. So in this space and time, if you reject the galactic visitations that come, it will be very difficult to move forward. And it's not so much that something devastating will happen that will suddenly make everyone cease to exist. That's not what we allude to. It is certainly not what we insinuate. Instead, we are sharing with you that from the physical point of perspective, your planet is struggling to hold your vibration. And it is showing this in a series of strong natural events and disasters. You will have more earthquakes, more fires, more sinkholes, more landslides, more glaciers collapsing, more hurricanes, more tsunamis, more of that. And when that happens, you have no choice but to work together. And when you are working together, we will come again, and we will place our pods once more. And then we will see how or if you are ready. And if not, it's not that something terrible is happening, it's just the natural state of cause and effect which is occurring. Because fear no longer aligns with Gaia. Control no longer aligns with Gaia. That vibration will cause a destruction of the third density constructs. And is it a full destruction of your planet? Absolutely not. That's not what we insinuate. You will simply have to choose more structures because your planet can't hold the consequences of your fearful culture.
You've said that humanity has been operating over a power over, power under construct for the last 175,000 years. Is that construct coming to a close, and are we beginning a new construct? And if so, what would that look like as opposed to the power over and power under structure that we mentioned?
Well, we certainly have both good news and bad news in that regard. So we'll start with the positive that you can hold. The good news is that much of you, more than 70% of you, will be ready by 2030 in your time-space distortion for a fifth density awareness. That is, not you going anywhere. You're not going to the fifth dimension. A dimension is a measurement of time-space. You are simply centering in to a new earth which is already present and parallel to your third density expression and environment. And those of you who are not ready will stay within this, and you will start over in a brand new cycle of duality. And this third density expression will continue for those who wish for it. And yes, that is the bad news. Some of you wish for the third density choice and expression to go away. But in order for that to go away, you would also have to eliminate your construct that you call free will, and you most certainly do not wish to do that. Why would you? It is the ultimate beauty of your sovereignty. After all, that is the teaching of Christ consciousness. It is sovereignty and choice and destiny and the beautiful creativity that would also dissipate if you were to lose a third density expression in a third dimensional plane. So in that regard, because free agency exists and you do not wish to recoil or withdraw another person's free will or another group of souls in their free will, for those souls who wish for this world to continue as is, it will continue as is, with just as much power over and power under as ever before. And many of you who are choosing differently will say yes to the new galactic awareness coming, and you will say, I knew it. You will not run or hide. You will lose your attachment to painful cultures and conditions therein, and you will recenter your awareness into the parallel realm of Earth of either fifth, sixth, or seventh dimensional planes. Your choice. Some of you here, some of you over there, you center in. You don't go anywhere. You recenter into your awareness. And then the more masterful component of you, who is already there, begins to remember. Maybe that masterful component of you can recenter into third density expressions of Earth and come help. Who knows? But it's your choice either way. It's always your choice. Don't let anything take choice from you. It's not true that anyone can control you. No one can hold you here if you choose not to stay. By that token of awareness, I must remind you that in your universal law, the universal law of resistance does come into play. So if you say, I'm done, get out of here, never coming back, guess what? You are the first ones to line up to come back. Don't boomerang backwards. Just remember the power and the unity of what you already are.
How do you recommend that we approach or relate to these pods that you talked about that you're going to send once humanity is ready to work with them again?
Which could be very soon. Either way, it'll come in the appropriate moment when enough of you are ready. And it will change your mindset. But of course, you will have many of our militaries attempting to shoot them down or deconstruct them. Your scientists will attempt to measure them. They are very protected. Nothing like that can occur. So in this space of awareness, keep in mind that if for any reason you choose this, it begins to shift your vibration so that your life is resonant to such vibration. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs become resonant to something beautiful and cosmic. So in that sense, you can expect more of your cosmic senses to come forth. What is a cosmic sense? It's beyond sight. Sight can be human or galactic. Sound can be human or galactic. But there is a knowingness of download, which is beyond sound. It is a vibrational sense. So in this divine moment, many beings will be experiencing recollections of these worlds that we've been telling you about today. And this will plant a seed, a preparation, a loving awareness for better things to come when the rest of the world is ready. But some of you will be ready then, and you will notice your world begin to change. People who still hold their density fears and doubts and belief systems that are very dense will begin to fall away. Perhaps it could happen in many ways. It could happen that you perceive that they have died, or perhaps you perceive that they have gotten out of touch, or vice versa, they perceive the same about you. It could be that they perceive that you moved around to another side of the world. It could happen in a sense that you perceive you have what you call a human fallout, a fight, if you will, an argument, and then you don't wish to talk. It could happen in loving ways too, but you just will notice that you have no access to these beings anymore. That's your vibration preparing to shift fully. Initially, you will feel a sense of lack of belonging, a disconnect, maybe even a mystical darkness. Not necessarily always a depression, but a feeling that something is different and that others don't understand you. Perhaps some of you are experiencing this now, but it will be in a deeper degree of awareness soon. Do not despair. Do not be in dismay. This may sound alarming, but it is preparing you for beautiful things to come in your cosmic memories. And even though some of those things feel sad now, they will not feel sad later.
Thank you so much, Orlik. If we could for a moment be introduced to Kaia, also from the Council of Nine, and her relationship to the Pleiadians, would really, really appreciate that.
As you wish.
Thank you.
Isatiaba isumitimaisika isato. Shift of vibration. English. Thank you. Hello. I am Kaia. I am the Pleiadian ambassador for the Galactic Council of Nine, at your service always, with deepest love from Divine Mother. Thank you for allowing me this space to meet and connect.
Hi, Kaia. What language were you speaking there in the beginning?
That is ancient Pleiadian. It is called Tuaka.
Tuaka. Beautiful. What has been the relationship of the Pleiadians toward humanity in our history, and how it's evolving, especially right now in this moment?
It is a deep history of love, trust, honor, and reverence. It is also a history where, throughout time, we have attempted to help you cosmically remember your true divine nature. Sometimes to great disarray and at great danger to our own species, we have attempted to help you. Despite the nature of destruction, the tests performed upon us, the imprisonment that your transnational and transcriminal organizations have imprinted upon our people. So in this sense, we have been your captors, we have been your science experiments, and we are your loving ancestors who were here. We were here alongside you when you were in ancient Lemuria. We were here in the very first fifth dimensional realm of Earth itself. We were here. We were the very first indigenous beings, along with the Syrians who came up from the oceans and created life with us. We created a loving version of you, and we called this species Lemurian, and we called these lands Lemuria, and cosmically Mu. Earth has always been a glass, a mirror, if you will, that is attempting to duplicate the celestial realm of what was Mu.
Are there still remnants of that species that you seeded here in Lemuria right now playing out through our current population?
Originally, the first sect of Pleiadian species were called the Tuatha, and there are many beautiful Celtic and Irish legends of such peoples. And then after the fall of Atlantis, when Lemuria was in war with Atlantis, we became your captors. Atlantis allianced with a malevolent species and then began its reign of control. And you are still attempting to release that reign of control to this very day, except that now you are finally doing it. And we are so proud of you. And yes, we were the original Tuatha. We were what you also called Fae, what you also called Elven. These aren't simply mystical stories. The mermaid, if you will, which you believe is a mystical creature, were original Syrians from the constellation Sirius B. So in this sense, we are somewhat Canis Major, somewhat Canis Minor. But when the beings from the Butes constellation began to join the Earth experiment, things went awry. Duality began, and we were forced underneath the Earth. And we became what you now know as legend.
What did this malevolent species that we associated with really want for humanity, for the Earth? Why did they come and create that distortion?
They came because the original race of humans, who were called Lemurians, wanted to see God outside of God. You wanted to see love outside of love itself. You wanted to experience the idea of separation. And this is where your stories of the Garden of Eden, the serpent and the apple, originate. And there are many versions of these stories for that reason. So you simply wanted the idea of free agency. Therefore, the Ra group began to create different forms of messages through different prophets, through different extraterrestrial beings who were originally called Hathor or Hathorian. But you took it the wrong way. As duality was beginning, you felt powerless, and you chose to worship those beings. Instead of healing from their technologies, you chose to take their technologies and control with such technologies. They were nuclear technologies, healing technologies, medicinal technologies. There were some gardening technologies as well. There were genetic technologies, and you took all of those technologies and you created the first degree of separation, which you called, according to the people, the Anki and the Enlil. And then you began to create stories that Anki was good, that Enlil was bad. And then, of course, because of the universal law paradox, some of you believed that Enlil was good and Anki was bad, but you began to see everything through this filter of separation. This is your history. Lemurians were original Native Americans, Aboriginals, all sorts of indigenous peoples all around the world. Pleiadians were Tuatadanan. Syrians were of the ocean. They primarily relate to what you would now know of as the Asian races in your cultures and species and race. Some of you will become angered with this history, but some of you will say, you know what, I'm ready, it makes sense. Either way, you are awakening from this power over power under construct, and you are beginning to build new worlds of awareness. You are beginning to finally find peace.
You talked about this misuse of the technology that was given to us in previous times. Right now, if we were to look at the present stage of where humanity is in this cosmic play, if these technologies were reintroduced, what would you advise to us to utilize them and leverage them in the right ways in harmony with natural law so that we don't make those same mistakes that we did before?
What is done can unfortunately not be undone, because nothing can be created nor destroyed. However, if you return to your connection to your ancestors, if you will remember your nature by exploring nature all around you, nature through the elements of fire, earth, air, water, ether, you will begin your process of remembering the natural state and natural uses of these technologies. And while you cannot redo what has already occurred or make these technologies nicer because they have fallen into the wrong hands, you can refuse to participate in such dense power over power under constructs, and you can learn means of self-sufficiency. You can learn permaculture. You can learn how to connect with your ancestors from the north and the south and the east and the west, and even cosmic ancestors. You can begin your state of awareness through growing your own foods, through learning about self-sufficiency, through learning interdependence with other humans, animals, and plants upon your beautiful lands. Start there, the rest will come.
Is there a potential that our current developments in artificial intelligence fall into the wrong hands? And how can we, in a way, maybe prevent that from happening?
It has already fallen into the wrong hands, no doubt. But if you are operating within a loving vibration, why should you accept the technologies? Some technologies, in the sense of artificial intelligence, will lean towards the light, and some will lean towards control. Which do you choose? When you begin to awaken and trust your discernment, you can utilize the gift of artificial intelligence lovingly and wisely. And then you can stop fearing artificial intelligence as bad or good, or power over, power under. You are not within those constructs any further, right? So in that sense, why worry? You will be granted the discernment to know the difference, and it shall not affect you. Because why would it? You will see destruction all around you, and it will not reach your doorstep. You will see the suffering, and you will be ready to support by serving, by healing, by loving, by giving, by donating, by teaching. And that is your role now. While you cannot change the fact that some gifts of artificial intelligence have fallen into the wrong hands, you can refuse to participate, and you can also begin to create new constructs of artificial intelligence during your cosmic awakening process, which is currently upon you. And you can begin to ask for the discernment, to ask for a divine revelation of truth in your heart so that you can participate when artificial intelligence is of love. Because there are many beings who do offer loving, helpful forms of artificial intelligence. You must trust yourself to choose, and if you can't, create.
You talked about this process of discernment when it comes to relating with these creations that are either birthed through love or through fear. What would you advise in the sense of trusting deeper that discernment? Is it a feeling that we have to trust in our body, or is it something much, much deeper than that?
Some cannot trust the body, even though the teachings of your ancestors would tell you to trust your heart, because your heart is so deeply broken. And you could easily back up from something loving out of fear. Be mindful of this. When you no longer begin to choose to see malevolence and darkness, when you no longer see the suffering of the world as something that you are personally responsible for, when you are no longer in deep suffering when you see malice and malevolence and darkness, then you know that you are ready to trust the body and the emotions that it produces from the mind. But until then, you must work diligently on healing the mind and the body so that these constructs become a pure, unconditioned temple and vessel of cosmic grace itself. And then you will know. Till then, keep healing.
For the children that are being born right now, is there a way to prevent those breaks in the emotional body and also the distortions that are created through societal programming and beliefs so that these children can come in with that full, clear channel, complete intuitive abilities online, and have the most discernment when it comes to how they live their life in pure connection to their heart?
I see what you are attempting to convey. However, please be aware that these children are resilient. They cannot be broken. Even when they are playing the roles of neglected, abused, even when they are playing these roles where you perceive that they are being harmed, they are still teaching you compassion, and they will continue to play those roles. And they will be so much less harmed than you could ever possibly believe when you choose to only see their suffering. You must look beyond their loving choice to choose to suffer for your sake. Why do they do it, one may ask? Why is it necessary? Another would ask. However, because suffering is so present in your world, it must continue to arise. And when it arises in your children and your animals, you look, you listen. It means you still have hope. It means that even in dark places, if you can see innocence and wish to protect it, there's so much hope for you. We strongly believe that. And we see this now, that this suffering is arising in your children and animals because you wish to change it. And what needs to change must arise until it is healed, until you do something different. Now, with that being stated, as difficult as that was, I ask you to hold your hearts within mine for a moment as I give you more positive news. These children are bendable, not breakable. They are of a different cosmic nature than you. They are in an enlightened generation, and no matter how much harm you perceive has been granted to them by their soul's choices, they are unbreakable. You cannot cause them the same core beliefs you experienced. We realize that you wish to perceive them, and that the choice to perceive them in suffering was formerly a choice of compassion, but now even the essence and vibration of compassion has so cosmically come into your awareness, and you will begin to realize that choosing to see them in suffering will not help the world. Choosing to see them as empowered, unbreakable beings who require your service, who require your teachings, who require your parenting, who require your healing would be better, because they certainly do not require your protection. They are less breakable than you. They are not of your generation.
What a beautiful message. Thank you for taking us into your heart and believing in us and being here to really deliver all these messages. If at any moment Pamela's ready to come back, we'll be here waiting for her on the other side, and just in full appreciation for everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you, dear soul. Oh.
Heard a few bone cracks in there.
Yoga's no joke right now. I'm like, oh, body.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the third density. How are you feeling? First time.
Yeah, I feel good. How about you?
Amazing. That was I think one of the deepest channelings I've been a part of. So thank you.
I really love Kaia. We've had I have a lot of memories of various relationships and times with her, and she's an amazing being.
Yeah. And I loved also Orlik. I mean, super direct to the point. I didn't really feel the condescending tone.
Oh, you didn't? I told him to tame it. So
he was on his best behavior today.
Yeah, I think he was nicer to you than he was to Alex. So this is good.
He's like, "Welcome to my show," and I was like, "Oh."
I was going to ask that. Did he try to say it was his show?
Yeah.
That's his
I let him have it.
That's how you know it's him. He's like, "Oh yeah, someone's at my show today." Like every time.
It's interesting because I noticed when you're going into channeling, I was really aware this time of the breath pattern that you get into when you get into that state. And you're mentioning that your grandfather taught you how to match your breath with your heart rate to access those deeper states of consciousness, gamma brainwave states. What could you tell us a little bit about that technical process that you go through, and why breath is such an important factor in it?
I strongly suggest training under any of the Babaji Kriyas. So if you have ever been to India, they have some ashrams there, I think maybe Yogi Raj would be the one to go into to teach that. But also, it's this idea of like slowing down the breath. So when I originally was taught the one technique with the Galactic Council of Nine, they said, breathe from the base of your spine slowly, and just count using the word one. Initially, I thought I was like going to count sheep because so that's what my parents told me to do. So I'm like, oh, like counting sheep, like just say the number one. And they're like, no, envision the word one, because it's a different vibration than a number, because numbers are human. Math is different elsewhere. Math is musical elsewhere. So when I started saying the word one, I would hear sounds. I don't know if that's unique to me or not. I don't think it's unique to me. I feel like when people get outside of our brain references, sounds different. So you begin by saying that word one in your mind, and every time your breath moves through a chakra system, from the root to the sacral, to the solar plexus, to the heart, to the throat, you would say the word one, and you just breathe naturally and let this golden light, I would envision a golden light going from the base of my spine through my chakras. And when it reaches here, I was told to imagine that there would be like a golden helmet, just like a metal golden helmet, just pushing against my brain. And I could feel it. It's like tight, and you hold it for just a few moments, and then just one slow breath back down the spine, back through all the chakra systems and back into earth. So it started with that. And then I remember when I started out playing instruments, which I also started at a young age. I love wind instruments. And I first started with the flute and the clarinet, and I just had no breath for it. And I wasn't really into running or aerobic activity at the time. I'm more of a strength-based person, strength, cheer, dance, strength. Not really that flexible or anything. Didn't have any endurance at that time. So I remember being in band, and the teacher gave me this bread bag. I don't know if any of you remember this. I'm old. Okay, I'm 50, so this is another old person.
Old? What do you mean old?
The human me's old, all right. So they gave this bread bag, this big bread bag, and they're about this long, and you would take like a plastic piping about that long, little PVC pipe or whatever you have, and you would take duct tape and put that bag over the pipe and tape it around, just the edge of it, and the rest of it is free for you to breathe in. So in band, the instructor was always saying, okay, breathe in a few counts and out a few counts, in a few counts and out a few counts. And then I also remember the synchronicity in second grade of watching someone hyperventilate, and the teacher brought her a bag. So in second grade, that's when the counselor started teaching me, oh, you see that? Your lungs need to be that. And you notice how people are talking to her, saying, okay, now count to 3 when you're breathing in and count to 3 when you're breathing out. They said, I want you to do that, but I want it to be like, this is the pipe and your lungs would be that bag. So now I want you to count to 3, in and out, just in and out. Count to 3 while you're inhaling, count to 3 while you're exhaling. Now I want you to count to 4. Now I want you to count to 5. Now I want you to count to 6. Like,
you're expanding your lung capacity.
Expanding. I think at some point we got up to about 85. That was really hard. I passed out. And they said, yeah, now do it again. So
85 seconds.
85 seconds. And they weren't fast seconds either. They were the type of seconds that it takes for your heart to beat. So the second thing they taught me was, you know how long it took us to count that second? Match that with the beating of your heart. Put your hand here. Find it. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. Now that's how I would count. Match it with that, with your heartbeat. Which I found out later when learning the Babaji Kriya that it's very, very similar. And the golden light application with the one technique, it all comes from somewhere. It's all cosmic. It's all galactic. It's all ancestral.
And that changes the brainwave state that you're able to get into. So you're able to connect with these consciousness and get into trance.
It'll teach you to go into trance. That's the first stage of getting into a trance. It'll teach you to get into gamma. Your brain will just naturally, you don't have to think about it or command it. Your brain will just naturally go. Your thoughts will stop. Because when you're counting, especially if you're just saying 1, you know, even if you count up and down because you like that better, you're still thinking of something other than something dualistic and painful. You're just counting, right? Mm. Another thing they said was don't think of breathing to be like this, right? Many people breathe up and down and you can see them moving like, not that that's bad, but if your lungs are a breath bag, it's more that it's moving like a balloon that's being blown up. So then I had to feel where that breath was in my rib cage, in my sides, in my back, everywhere in your unique body. Where does your breath go? How do you breathe? And what does that feel like in your body, right? That's the full nature of Kriya. All types of Kriya, not just like original Babaji Kriya or Kundalini Kriya, like all Kriya, even before we called it Kriya, was about your awareness of where your breath was in your form and breathing properly, sitting properly. That was the third thing they taught me. Sit up. Roll your shoulders back, you know, and let that breath move and let those lungs just go kind of like a bagpipe or an accordion. Just let your body breathe the way it naturally wants to breathe. And then find your heartbeat. Say the word 1 and breathe in for 3 counts. And while you're breathing in, then breathe out for 3 counts. But that count has to be the same as your heartbeat. Now, the more you get up to like counting to 3 on the inhale and exhale, and then 4 on the inhale, if you're going up and down, say you're doing that, you will eventually lower your heartbeat. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. The longer your inhale and exhale is, and the more they match your heartbeat will just start to drop. Right? Now, someone might come along and think you're dead. That's another thing that I'm warning. But you could go into a deep samadhi state. That has happened to me. And I've had people around me like, hello. You know, I've had to have people try hard to wake me up. So I suggest...
they see you levitating. They're like, Pamela, come back down.
It hasn't happened often, no. It's only happened like twice that I can think of. Most of the time, unfortunately, when I'm levitating, like, you know, it's like no one sees it. I'm like, oh my God, you get done. Ego gets a hold of it. You know, you could run and tell somebody and they're like, sure, Pam, sure you did, you know. You know, because those tricks mean nothing. I think the only people who have seen me levitate were the Galactic Council of 9 and 1 yogi who is now no longer with us.
Mm. And at a certain moment, the council started refining your abilities to create wormholes and circumvent time.
Yeah.
Was that also related to the techniques and the breath and how you were able to manipulate, I don't like to use that word, but, go through time and travel in that sense, like what you do with the future humans?
It's a foundation. You definitely have to be a master of trance to be able to bilocate. And the difference between what I do and maybe astral travel or remote viewing is that I started out in astral travel or remote viewing, but eventually I had to actually duplicate my form, which means the form is here. And then if I'm going to remote view, it's going to become astral travel. Astral travel becomes a light body, but a light body has to actually become a form.
Bilocation.
Mm-hmm. It becomes a form where I can actually interact with people.
And that wasn't uncommon for the yogis. I have these books behind me, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, which Dr. Joe Dispenza is like the #1 book that he recommends. Mm-hmm. And they're doing this all the time.
Yeah, I believe in the East they do it, but it's probably reserved for like you have to have a very sound mind, and they waited until it was probably age 39 when I started being taught Bilocation
Oh, wow.
because of everything that I had to train in, like the soundness of mind that you have to have psychologically, because otherwise, if you think about it, if you're in a different realm of time, you have to be able to know not only how to get back to your own realm, but you have to be able to hold that without losing your mind. Because you could be there, the more you master that, you could be there for a long amount of time. Now, the longest I've spent in another timeline is 2 months.
Two months.
2 months.
Last time you told me 2 weeks.
2 months now. We've gone
Oh
up
my
to two
god.
months. But then I also have to come back, and it's kind of weird because you come back, and typically I can't sleep more than 8 hours. I'm a busy person. 10 hours at most if I'm lucky, right? I'm a mom, and I'm a sports busy. My life's busy. This is busy, right? So it's like I have to be able to do all that in an 8-hour time frame here.
Huh.
So that's the part that's difficult. You
So
have to train the
when
belief
you
system.
right, what is the belief system that you have to let go of?
The belief that I would miss something here, the belief that I would die and be stuck there, the belief that I would see something and then change the timeline that I'm currently in. I have to trust cosmic awareness. I have to get out of any egoic system that teaches me that time is real. And time is a very conditioned belief that the majority of the human population explores and deeply feels to be true. So I had to uncondition my entire existence here to be outside of time and also still remain in it because I've got appointments. And, if I show up to my coach later and just say, well, I know we're meant to be at 3:00, but I don't believe in time. So sorry, she's probably going to fire me. Not going to be able to skate that day,
Right.
I showed up late for you and did the same, you'd be feeling pretty disrespected. So it's like that idea of, okay, I'm going to creatively honor it, but it doesn't mean it's true. And that's a unique universal law of paradox to get through. And that took the majority of my life to undo that training.
Yeah. It's literally the belief that we're most ingrained is time.
Yeah. It's everything in our creative system. We think it's true.
And you call it time distortion too.
Because time isn't true. So we distort it in various ways.
Mm.
So we distort it to be like first, middle, last, birth, life, death, birthdays. We're so trained. We're even trained in astrology to have something to do with time. Like everything we think about, sunset, sunrise, the wheel of the year in Druidism, it's in everything. Not that it's bad. It's creative, it's beautiful, and we have to learn to utilize it appropriately, but understand that it's actually not true. If you really want to bilocate, we have to undo all of those trainings.
When you say I'm going to go spend 2 months in a different realm, time period, where do you like to go?
I like to go to any timeline that I know is going to give me hope.
Mm.
And since the Galactic Council of Nine is only us in the future, that's why they guide us. I like to tell them and just ask them, hey, I want hope. Please tell me what looks a little more hopeful right now. What time should I go towards? 2200 I like a lot.
2200. Mm-hmm. What's it like over there?
So there's a city in Singapore that people build, but they don't have like a large population. But it's like beautiful, like tall skyscrapers are full of plants, and they have like a rail throughout the whole city where people could go, public transport, everything is there. In the 2200 timeline, there's like a monorail floating device that's like a train, but not on a rail. It has a rail, but it's not on it. It's like a hovercraft. And it goes everywhere. People live in communities that are super helpful. The idea of neighbor is almost as close as family in this timeline. It's a lot less segregation. People have the choice to believe what they want to believe as long as it isn't hurting anyone. But once belief systems do, there is a system of order. They do have legal systems that say, okay, your belief system can't actually hurt anyone. And they have legal systems that are more about reparation and restoration and healing, as opposed to imprisonment and punishment. There's no death sentences. Like, some of you are going to get mad. Like, you still have like these attack thoughts, these vengeance thoughts, these thoughts of, I need to take divine justice into my own hands, and someone that hurt me gets to be hurt. They don't have that concept in that year because there's no need. Even major cities have aquifers and permaculture systems and beautiful, they have ways of storing water that are similar to what the Mayans did, like those aquifers that were underground and pure. There's no gross city water. Everybody has the beginning stages of free energy then. I mean, but if
beginning stages.
So if you choose to be in like the system of electrics, you can, but it's very limited because of its devastation, the devastation, the results that we've had with natural disasters, that are the way we use energy created that. And so we're recovering from a lot, unfortunately, a lot of drought, a lot of floods, a lot of hurricanes, a lot of volcanoes, a lot of earthquakes, a lot of disaster. But at the same time, our building materials are more environmentally friendly. We have a solution to plastics. Earth is beautiful. People help more. People aren't just worried about how they're going to get by with money and mortgage and how they're going to put gas in their car, because there are only a few models of gasoline cars that still exist. And electric wasn't much better. People found that really created its own problems. So there's something new in that regard too. It's just beyond anything that I get. So many changes have been made in such a short amount of time, if you think about the actual time between now and then, if you believe in time. But also, just to give you a brief point of reference, like, being that I'm old, I remember back when computers were first there, and I was playing Oregon Trail on this big box computer, and in computer class, nobody actually had computers at home. Nobody had that yet. No, we didn't have that yet. We had them only in schools, and there were these big boxes, and they were black and white. And I think this was the time when Atari was still around. We didn't even really have like color that going on in games or fancy gaming systems or cell phones. Like, nothing was like that. So it's like being in that time, but with technology that you utilize, that is friendly on the body, friendly on the eyes, friendly on your cellular nature, friendly on the environment. It's like you have a tablet that you can tap on your wrist, and it opens up in air. It's an air tablet, and you can the keyboard is in the air. But going back then, you would think, like, from that amount of time to our amount of time, to think of what we have now, the cell phones we have now, Snapchat, WhatsApp. You're across the world, and I can just type to you and say, hey, how you doing on WhatsApp? And you're like, yeah, let's do a show. We could do that then. We'd have to pay a bunch of money and call collect and be like, hey, man, this is expensive. Do you want a show? Let's go. Oh, okay, bye. We got email. So if you think about even that, some people would say that's ridiculous. You're going to say that what I'm seeing is ridiculous. And then when you see it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, how do we ever live without that? That's amazing.
Do our bodies look much different in 200 years?
But we're healthier.
Hmm. Lifespan increase.
From what I've been told, it's like we're pushing like 120, 125. Like we've definitely made some changes that are incredible. We've had a cure for Alzheimer's and dementia. Addiction is treated differently. Mental illness is treated more compassionately. Lithium would be considered barbaric. I asked them about it. I asked many humans from the future in that regard, what do you still use these older medications? And they're like, lithium, no, that destroys your kidneys. Why would you do that? No, that was terrible. We can't even believe you guys did that.
When they look back at us, sort of what do they gather in the sense of, those generations that came before them, which would be us being their ancestors? What did they gather and learn from us?
I remember one of the most recent beings I channeled saying that she and her family is a whole team of she's her dad was a biological anthropologist, so she studies human nature. She studies culture, she studies food patterns and what we would eat and how it would affect our health. And her grandparents started this, and her great grandparents. I think she's a whole generation of anthropology. And she said to me, you guys are an example of what fear can do. And you guys are also an example of when division gets too far. You are also an example of curiosity and wonder and creativity and the desire to understand that you can do more than just survive, that you can thrive. So in science, it's more of the what not to do that they remember, especially medicine. But in spirituality, we were a positive example of remembering our ancestors, because for a time, she remembers spirituality going a lot more into like an artificial intelligence realm. She says ChatGPT took it over and people were just channeling with ChatGPT.
Which is starting to happen, right now.
Yeah. She said, so in that sense, she saw what that did to us in the spiritual realm. And then she saw us return to wanting natural channels. She saw us return to wanting trance channels. She saw us return to wanting hands-on healers. She saw us get out of this stage of healing where everything was like an infrared machine or like a sound bed. That came. Med beds came, healing beds came, sound beds came, all these things came. And then people went, yeah, okay, but why are we still sick? Because things would come back. So our example of some of our teachings of understanding emotions and belief systems and thoughts, they went back to that. And they went back to the power of actually understanding that breath heals everything. Something that we probably need to remember while we're depending upon so much technology to heal emotions and body. But we are an example of what to do and what not to do. She watched us go through many different stages of breaking down. We had so many false gurus and we still have them. So in the sense, she saw us go back to some ancient breath techniques, some ancient ancestral techniques. And then she saw us go through stages where we depended upon technology for healing our mind and body. And then eventually we went to breath and sound, breath and sound, breath and sound, and breath and sound began to heal everything all over again. Just like it did thousands of years ago. We just forgot.
I'm getting chills. And
it was so simple.
So simple.
And I asked her, I said, why? Clara, why? And I remember saying, Clara, if it's so simple, why didn't we just do it? I'm like, I believe that it's simple now. She's like, yeah, but you're just one person who was born ahead of your time. You can't do it alone. You can't convince your soul family. You can't convince people that you're one person. They have to see it for themselves. Be patient. it frustrated me in a sense, because I was like, wow, breath and sound is so simple. Yet here's what she said. I remember she said, you guys wanted more modality to continue to beat yourself up with. It was just fascinating to you until you were done. She said, but the reason why you did it is because also you forgot your ancestry, you forgot your rituals, you forgot your ceremonies. So modality was replacing that until you remembered it. And that made sense too, because we don't remember our ancestry really.
It's like, what's interesting about these conversations is that hopefully, the internet is still around in 200 years. I mean, maybe you'll confirm that in a second, but we're creating these conversations, which are in a sense living time capsules for us in the future to look back, like, what was humanity going through at that time? What questions were they asking? How were they developing in their consciousness? What technologies were they using? Were they not using? And then in a sense, that creates a thread between the generations where, we can find some tablets of tens of thousands of years ago, but we can't even read the hieroglyphs in many instances because we can't remember. So this is a different way to transmit that information and store the data and the information for future generations to come.
She did say that some of our galactic visitors that came began to share technologies that helped us interpret forgotten languages. Mm-hmm. And that was super helpful for us. And paleontology made a change, anthropology made a change, science began to say, okay, well, if that worked, let's give it a try again. People began to be more open just because of that technology of remembrance.
In 200 years, are we already part of the galactic community again? And are we, living amongst these other beings from other star systems as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just very different. And the way that I've attempted to describe what I've seen before is absolutely fascinating. And it's just so different that I don't even know that anyone will really have a reference point towards me being able to. It's just a legacy I'll leave with you guys. And maybe someone who's around will look on the internet and see this old person sharing what you now think is crazy. And you'll go, oh my gosh. And that's my only hope that I can have is that I said, okay, here it was. Because otherwise I feel like it's falling a little bit upon deaf ears. Like I'm sharing it, but it's not really being received yet. Mm-hmm. So
I would look at them as seeds.
Yeah.
Whether you understand them or not, you said before we started, may the wisdom come before understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just what I have to trust and have hope for, is that if the council is planting seeds through these channelings and through these bilocation sessions with the humans from the future, that one day they grow into a beautiful plant. I may not be here to see that, but one day they will.
Yeah. Well, I admire you a lot, Pamela. I mean, the work that you do is so fascinating to me. Just the way that you approach it with such grace and such reverence, it's not very common to see. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for that and all the love that you pour into it. It's really felt. So, as we're coming toward the end, I wanted to ask you before we get into the final trio, the final questions, where can people find you, connect with you, work with you? I know you have a membership going on. You have these sessions that are private as well. So where would you send people for that?
Yeah. Right now I have a lot of master classes. I have a new one every single month. So I teach all these things. I channel all these things, and you can get those recorded, or you can join me live on monthly master classes on my website. And that's just at PamelaAaralyn.com. And I also have my Patreon community, which is like twice a week, sometimes more. We'll do classes and channeling. So that's just patreon.com/Pamela Aaralyn.
Beautiful.
And I will be at the channel panel in November. That's another way. If
Yes.
you want to come see me live, I'll be there. And looking forward to more live work with people. Maybe you and me one day. I'd love to do more live work with people for sure.
We got to do a retreat down here in Colombia.
Oh, I love it. Channeling is so different when you're in person. It's just like you can feel it so much more. And
Definitely.
I love that.
Beautiful. Well, we'll include everything that you just mentioned down in the show notes, and hopefully people can go see you in person. I know that the lineup of channelers that are going to be there is incredible. We had a conversation with Wendy Kennedy the other day. She'll be there. You'll be there. There'll be a lot of people there. So for the final trio, these are personalized questions to you. The first one I wanted to ask is, I'm pretty sure I asked you this in our first conversation, but I'm always curious to see how the answers change with time. What is the best piece of wisdom that you have received from the future to empower humanity to its highest and best timeline?
So many pieces of wisdom that they've all given me, but I'd say what stands out right now is Claire's dad told me once that everything is always changing. She said, the moment you get used to something in your world, it's going to change again. So when you learn to sit with uncertainty, you have the greatest hope. She also said, some of the greatest speakers, healers, channels, inventors, scientists of our time now are holding back. And she gave me the advice to never hold back my passion. She said, so for your lifetime, you need to teach about following passion, because people are waiting to evidence their passion. They're waiting to get validation from people they respect, and they're waiting on approval. They're waiting on whatever algorithm to find them, or whatever approval they require professionally, personally, spiritually, emotionally. They're waiting on feelings of motivation, self-worth. And she said, now is not the time to wait any longer. If you have a passion, if you have a dream, you need to make it happen, because you are the future. You are the inventors, the channels, the healers of the future. They are you. They are your children. They are your grandchildren. And we are definitely a society who is deeply remembered because we were the builders of change. That's what she called us, the builders of change. And she said, I know that was hard. And if you didn't have fortitude, resilience, courage, boldness to follow those passions, she said, we wouldn't have half of the healing technologies, the ancestral memories, half of the healing that we have today. We wouldn't have if we didn't have these change makers in your timeline now. Mm-hmm. It really inspired me, what she said.
The builders of change. Because one thing is to sit back and sit around, watch these conversations, but the other part is being actually a part of them and going into the world with the principles that we learn here and building the change. So it's a great call for embodiment and integration of what we're learning here. Mm-hmm. Second question I have for you is, what's one question that you wish more people would ask you about the work that you do?
In general or right now? That changes a lot.
In general.
In general, I wouldn't have them ask about the work that I do. I would ask them to ask themselves, why aren't they doing their own work? It's why I prefer spiritual teaching. It's why I prefer to teach people to access themselves. It's why I have a mentorship program, because my deepest passion is teaching people to access themselves. So I wouldn't have them ask about my work. I'd ask about theirs. And I'd ask them to ask themselves that question. Why aren't you following those breadcrumbs, those signs, those symbols, those synchronicities, those moments of curiosity and wonder, the spark you feel? Where is that? Why aren't we doing that? What are your excuses? I don't want to hear anymore. Like the future needs you now. And I'm just here to make that happen.
There's also 3 questions that I don't know where I got this, but this is in my research for you in our shows together. But it's when you go out into the future, there are a few questions that we can ask those humans from the future. One of them is there a reason why we went in that direction? What can we do if we wish to empower ourselves differently and change it? Because we can change the future. It's not set in stone. And what can we do to make your future better? When you've gone out and had these explorations and made your friends in different time periods, what is the most common answer you receive when you ask, what can we do to make your future better?
Pull your thoughts and emotions into desires that are practical, because change isn't passive. As much as we often say, love and light, I'm praying for you, what the world needs right now is sacred action. I'm hearing that theme with everyone that I talk to in the future. As a futurist, I often look at all the potentials of timelines. And I am beginning to see some exciting change. And every time I visit the future, I'm noticing that there are more positive healing changes happening. But I'm also seeing people just kind of sitting back, waiting on something to do it, waiting on their kids to get out of the house, waiting on more times of financial abundance. My students, I hear for that with my students all the time. Well, I'll channel when I feel more confident or motivated. I'll open up a business for healing and start to serve the world when I have more money. So when I quit my day job, then I go into retirement, then I can afford to become a healer. We just don't have that kind of time. In the most loving timelines that I've seen, we really began to make those changes now. We began to make prayers turn into sacred actions. We began to serve more than just pray. Prayers are wonderful, but we also went into service for people in need. We began to reach people. We offered as many pro bono services as we did paid services. We became beacons of service, not just change. And that's what made the most beautiful change in the world by the year 3300. So yes, that means that as individuals, there are things that we can all do. Now, it was really disappointing to go back, and I would tell people some hard timelines that we were on, and they're like, why are you telling me that? I'm like, because I want you to change it. And they're like, but I'm just one little person. How can I actually change it? But would you believe that paying attention to the breath, sending love to the world, and praying for the world, and being in service to the world, and being in service to your community, being in service to nature, helped so much? Following your passion helped so much. If you had a dream, doing it helped so much. Trusting it and then serving the world with it. It's that individuals were the ones making the changes, not waiting on the government to do it, waiting on disclosure, and waiting on the dark to be brought to the light. We've had many cycles of the dark being brought to the light. It's already happening now. What more do we need? That's just like our ego saying, okay, I'm going to wait on the Epstein list. Like, come on. It's like, well, okay, now what? Then you'll find something else that you're waiting for. It's just not right. Let me wait on that disclosure. Let me wait on help from our Galactic Council of Nine. Right. But even then, like if we're not ready, if we're not enacting change now, we don't shift enough in the density of our thought and our emotions and our vibrations to even be ready for what's coming if we don't start now. So honoring ourselves is something we can all do. Service is something we can all do. Sacred action is something we can all choose, even in a small way. You know, I had someone send me like a $5 PayPal the other day. And of course I was like, I'm so grateful, but at the same time, it was like, they were like, oh my, I felt so bad because they were like, look, I'm on disability. I'm very sick. I'm probably at end stages, but this is what I have. I'm like, please don't, I can't take your $5. Like, you're breaking my heart. I should be sending you that. What are you doing? And the universe said, you have to receive it. What? Well, you're gonna take away their right to bless you? Really? That's the way they want to bless you, and you're gonna tell them no. You're gonna tell them what they have and don't have. Okay, I am. Still feeling weird about it, but okay. But it just really, she had no fear about the future. Even though she's on disability. Even though she's permanently handicapped physically. Can't walk. Paralyzed from the neck down. Probably didn't have the $5 to send, but she somehow managed it and did it. It came. Who am I to tell her no? Why are we turning down abundance and telling people no when they want to bless us? We have to learn to receive love and support. That's a huge lesson for me right now.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, it's humbling, but
I feel that. Thank you, Pamela, for just really being a teacher of sovereignty and empowerment, and really helping us rewire a lot of those beliefs that are keeping us maybe held back to our most liberated self. That's the way that I see you and the way that these conversations have unfolded. I'm looking forward to round 15, 30, 100. Hopefully we'll be doing this for many, many years to come, and I'm sure of it. So thank you so much for your friendship, for this collaboration. I'm really, really grateful for you. Thank you.
Likewise.